Welcome to the SCIF. This is the Green Beret Life. You are watching Matt in the green hat and Stu wearing the blue shirt, right? So I'm a poet and didn't know it, right? We got a good show for you guys tonight. We are a 501c3, and I want to thank all of you for joining us. It is a straight up blizzard up here. Right now, we've got good coverage. We came on early to test everything out. If something were to happen, Stu is going to be taking over, but I don't think that's going to happen because we haven't had a glitch since we've been on. Had a hard time getting on, but we haven't had a glitch.
Yeah, you can't leave me here with no adult supervision.
I know it. I know it. And you can see Stu is traveling across the globe in that's a pretty nice looking hotel, actually. Is it a Marriott?
Of course.
Yeah. So don't expect anything brilliant because he didn't stay in a Holiday Inn, right?
No, I didn't.
Anyways, what do we have for the show tonight, dude?
We've got several things this afternoon or this evening. We've got the appeals court seems to be backing Pete Hegseth and his bid to eliminate transgenderism from the military. Mm-hmm. It's not final yet, but they've basically the rulings are going in their favor. So we're gonna talk about that for a little bit.
Excellent.
We've got this Judge Boasberg that seems to be into everything to do with Trump, is looking at expanding the criminal contempt probe relating to the flights of illegal immigrants back to their countries of origin without his explicit approval. And apparently Kristi Noem didn't kiss his ass enough, whenever she was there in front of him. So he's just not happy about it and is looking to expand this criminal contempt probe because he didn't get his way.
When are the Republicans in the Senate going to start solving these problems here? This guy is borderline. Well, he is criminal, to be honest with you, in my opinion. So
he's what?
Criminal.
Oh yeah,
yeah, absolutely criminal.
I
really agree. That judge in the Comey deal, she's now not allowing the Department of Justice to use the evidence they have about him turning everything over to his reporter buddy to release it.
And there's again some of these judges, and it shouldn't be this way, but you can absolutely look at the way a judge rules and pretty much tell whether they were appointed by a Democrat or by a Republican. For the most part, Republican appointed judges are looking at, okay, what does the law say? This is what it is. Every single Democrat judge, you can look at it and be like, okay, they voted for this. They voted for this. Oh, the dissenter was a Democrat. And it's like, what's their reasoning? Well, it made me feel a certain way. No.
Well, you see, Trump is canning all of these immigration judges because they don't go under anything else except the executive branch, right? Yep. So he's canning all of them, and it turns out they're all activists, of course. They've backed the immigration courts up for like 25 years. And this is not exaggeration. It's insane when you look at it. So he's getting rid of them, and he's replacing them with primarily military lawyers and law enforcement lawyers, like prosecutors. And they're going to be called deportation judges from here on in. And we might have a friend of the show who might be applying for one of those jobs. I don't want to mention names or any of that, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. We've got where DHS has launched a website. Is basically the worst of the worst. And it's a searchable website that you can go in and throw in some parameters and see who they've deported. I've got that here. We'll pull that up and look at that for a minute. But it's funny how the talking heads and the pearl clutchers, getting prepped for their fainting couch anytime they're talking about, these families being torn apart. They don't talk about any of these people, and
it's all hail the immigrant, all hail the recipient. That's what this is all about. Did you see Ilhan Omar go on Deface the Nation or one of those shows and basically call Stephen Miller a Nazi, and she was comparing the plight of the Somalis to Jews during the Holocaust, unbeknownst to this dumbass that Stephen Miller's Jewish. So she goes on and calls Stephen Miller, after she talks about comparing Somalis to Jews prior to World War II, she goes on and then calls Stephen Miller a Nazi and a white supremacist. And I don't think she even understands he's Jewish.
It doesn't matter. They don't care. It doesn't matter. And it's hysterical that she's comparing the plight of the Somali to the Jews, when it's like, you were allowed into this country. Everything you could want for, all of your needs are being provided to you. You know, it's like, I can't even. Yeah.
Well, you know, allegedly she's worth $30 million now. When she entered Congress in 2018, she was in debt. Investigate her. She's involved. Well, we're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about how some of that might be involved. But one of your favorite people, Governor Pritzker's released almost 1,800 violent illegal aliens back on the streets in defiance of ICE.
Yeah.
By not honoring the ICE detainers, he's released these people right back out on the streets.
Yeah, of course he has. Of course he has. This has to get to a point where these people get arrested. First of all, in Minnesota, what they're uncovering now, and now there's a story that we're going to be working on here in California. They're talking upwards of $28 billion that's unaccounted for, somehow tied in with homelessness, yet homelessness has doubled since 2013 in that state. So there's a bunch of this going on. Some of these, I think all of us, but we now know, we understand that the judiciary is corrupt. We talked about that with the first story here with Boasberg and everything else.
The worst thing they can do for a problem or an ill or something that requires assistance is to get the government involved in it, because as soon as there is money flowing to it, then the people that say their goal is to eliminate homelessness, well, they now have a vested interest in not eliminating what they've set their thing up to eliminate, because as soon as they eliminate homelessness or whatever other issue they're purported to be working against, then the money dries up and goes away. Now they don't have a job.
Well, I think a lot of this is going to get repaired. Trump is making a full bore effort to go after the Fed, get rid of the IRS, and to get rid of taxes and replace it with income from tariffs. Right now, that'll starve the federal government, because right now they've got unlimited money by us, and they've driven us to $38 trillion in debt.
It's not even just us. They spend well more money than they ever bring in. They just print it.
Yeah.
And we owe it. I mean, otherwise we'll be 30-some trillion in debt now.
This is going to be a big problem for them, because our wallets are what they fund all of this stuff to destroy our country with. And when you don't have that anymore, right, and they've got to go through tariffs, which are going to be managed via the executive branch, right? Yeah. They no longer have the access to all of this. I don't know how this is all going to shake out. There's a bunch of hijinks going on. Don't think that our Fed, which is the primary Fed, isn't involved with what's going on, because it absolutely is. I mean, you guys all know this. What's going on in Europe right now, them trying to really escalate, instead of Trump is trying to bring peace between Ukraine and Russia, the European Union allegedly is trying to escalate this thing and kick it off. And they were trying to force us into it. So I would keep your eyes peeled for false flag operations concerning Russia and Ukraine, right? It's obvious Putin wants this war over. You know, he can keep going, but he wants the war over. So I would watch, because they are losing on all fronts. The immigration, I know people are really dooming in certain areas. If you look at what we've been doing, we're up against the whole entirety of the deep state. We're up against the Democrat Party. We're up against the Republican Party. Make no mistake.
Half of the Republican Party.
Yeah. we weren't up against the Republican Party, these judges would have all been gone, and all of Trump's appointees. You see, Ilhan Omar had to step down from that position. All of that would be taken care of. That's Republicans blocking that, not Democrats. Okay, the Democrats are blocking it, but the Republicans could bypass that. They're not doing it, and they're not going after these corrupt judges. These alleged corrupt judges, right?
So they need to change something in the mechanisms to be able to remove these judges. There needs to be some other mechanism other than the impeachment method of what it requires, because it just never happened. You're going to have to create legislation for that, or you're going to have to tweak the Constitution. Or in order to tweak the Constitution, gets us back to the same problem that we're at with the Republicans in the House. I don't know that federal judges, if that, and I don't know. I honestly have not looked into it.
I don't either. I don't either. So
I just know the method that they use is impeachment, which basically means it has to rise to this, not rise to the same level, it has to go through the same process as it would be to impeach the president. And I'm sorry, it should not be the same bar to remove a judge who is unelected, especially since they're lifetime
appointment. Yeah. It's absolutely nuts. And I would keep your eyes open though for something that's going to go down. I mean, if you hear, you're dubious anyways. We preach that all the time. Be dubious, right? But we're winning, and that's why I get a little frustrated with some of the doomers out there. We are winning, and the Trump administration is pushing. Now, there's stuff that doesn't make any sense to me. Some of the stuff going on in the FBI with all this pipe bomber thing makes no sense to me, to be honest with you. I'm having a real hard time with this. That, you know, what the Blaze had originally found with the female who is got a permanent limp, so she's got a disability. She gets hired on as Capitol Police, right? You know, the one with the buzz cut and the real hard jawline, right? And 4 years later, she's working for the CIA in executive protection. So she's got a limp. She's a female, and now she's working executive protection in the CIA after being a cop.
From the video that we watched and everything that one time on the show, I thought from just the gait and the movement and everything else, I thought it was a woman. And then they come out saying it's this 30-year-old guy that lives in his parents' basement and this, that, and the other.
Who's autistic. And the bombs look like what they use in the training manuals with kitchen timers on them. Those weren't. But we're getting all of this. I don't want to start picking it apart because we don't know what's going on. But I have a hard time believing this is the bomber, right? The other stories seem more plausible to me. But I mean, it plugs into everything. You know what I mean? So, but you know, you got to go with what we're being told, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whatever.
With a grain of salt.
We don't know who did the bombing, because I'm not buying the fact that it was this dude. I'm just not. So,
but we had Troy. He's got another way to identify the Democrat judges without just looking at their record and everything. He's saying you look for the clown shoes.
And the red nose.
Yeah, and the honky nose. And Freedom's talking about the Federal Reserve would go away, and that's a big thing. You've got a private entity that drives a monetary policy of a nation,
not just the nation, the world. The world. That's the Western Central Private Bank. It has nothing to do with being federal. Right. The creation of this thing in the first place has been a disaster from the very beginning. And we don't have control over our money. So we're funding everything from this country. So it's it looks like what Trump has come out and basically said is we're not even focusing on the Middle East. We're not going to focus on Europe. And everybody's in panic now. We're not focusing on Asia. We're going to focus in our hemisphere here. So he's talking about Latin America and
we should have been doing that for decades. If Europe is worried about that, let Europe deal with it. That's their problem. That's
exactly right.
We have issues to, you want to talk about Russia, Ukraine, the UAE, all that. That's their backyard. Mexico, Venezuela, Colombia, all those are our backyard. Those are the issues we need to deal with. They have issues that they need to deal with.
Absolutely.
And if they choose not to, then they, you get what you pay for, reap what you sow.
Yeah.
But instead, we've spent decades in Europe and in the Middle East, and what's been accomplished?
We've gotten a lot further in debt. We've lost a bunch of American lives. We've got a bunch of injuries, right? That's what's been accomplished. Beyond that, nothing has been accomplished. Right?
Absolutely nothing.
So, as two war vets here, I don't regret a thing I did, and I know Stu doesn't regret a thing he did, right? And every veteran that served over there needs to be proud of their service. So when I say nothing has been accomplished, I don't want to denigrate the service of veterans that went over there and did, because we had the wool pulled over our eyes, and we were doing
individual service members, and what they've done is admirable and should absolutely be commended. The command staff and the political leadership is what failed 100% the ground level service member.
100% correct. So
the military and especially the Army, their job is to go in and break other people's shit. The Army doesn't build schools and doesn't reach hearts and minds. Their job, big Army, is to go in, break shit, and go home.
Yeah,
correct. Police actions and hearts and minds and guarding freaking poppy fields and whatever. It's no. But
isn't that interesting too? The poppy fields. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. So we're over there playing around with that. Opium production went up after we were up.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you want to bring up first, Matt? What's the big one you want to talk about?
Let's talk about Tina Peters, and I don't want to spend tons of time, but Tina Peters is a Gold Star mom, a patriot, was thrown in jail in Colorado, excuse me. And the reason why she was thrown in jail, right, is because after the 2020 election, there's a 2-year, it's by law, you have to retain the data for 2 years. And they were going to wipe all of the machines, those machines that you can't talk about, people get sued, right? And there's a real funny tie-up with those machines in Venezuela, right? Where they may have been developed for a specific reason, right?
For a specific election in Venezuela to get some specific person elected.
Yeah. So, so she went and copied the data before it could be, this is as far as I know what happened here, copied the data before it could be destroyed to retain the data by law, which needed to be retained for 2 years. Well, because she did that, they went after the state of Colorado, which is that Jared Polis is a pile of garbage, the governor of Colorado. The openly gay governor of Colorado who did that Feliz Navidad thing a few years ago. Remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember that asinine thing? So anyways, the state of Colorado went after her for tampering with machines. And of course, the propagandists and the media made it look like she was tampering with the machines instead of saving the data that was on the machine.
Backing up the data before it was destroyed.
Yeah. So they ended up throwing this woman, who also is a cancer survivor, in frickin' jail, right?
9 years. What she got.
9 years. So they're letting murderers out. They're letting illegals get away with everything and releasing them back onto our street. Tina Peters, a Gold Star mom, a patriot, a citizen who's done everything right her whole life, has been maligned and absolutely destroyed. And because it's state, right, Trump can't get her out. He's putting pressure on Colorado, but he can't. Everybody ought to put pressure on Colorado to get this innocent patriot woman out of jail. And it's an absolute crime. So now she's been attacked in jail. So that means you saw the hijinks that happened to the January 6th prisoners and what they were doing to them, right?
Yeah.
Without due process, by the way. Okay. So now, isn't it funny that she's being allowed to be attacked while in jail, right? Well, this is an absolute travesty. And you know what? This governor there, I don't know what Trump can do, but he needs to figure something out and start putting the screws to this guy too.
Well, here's this, Matt, in the story. About 6 months ago, Ms. Peters was threatened with harm. Her life was threatened by a group of inmates to stab and kill her. She was moved to a different unit. In the new unit, she was attacked by other prisoners 3 different times. Now, there's actually a safe unit where inmates who do not cause problems can be assigned. She has applied to be put in that unit, but was denied 6 times without a valid reason. So
somebody needs to sue. The federal government needs, I don't know if they can do this, but this is my first knee-jerk reaction to this. The federal government, the DOJ needs to sue the Department of Corrections in the state of Colorado and then start doing serious investigations going from the top all the way down. And whoever is responsible for this, because tell me these dumbass prisoners over there would even know who Tina Peters was. None of them. Yeah. Yeah,
or even if they did, freaking 5 years later, they need to all of a sudden start, threatening to attack, threatening to knife or attack this woman.
Yeah, and then put in jail 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. And then for some reason, she's denied transfer to this area for inmates who don't cause issues 6 different times. Why?
They want her to be exposed. They want her to be exposed. Yeah. They want her to get hurt. You cannot let these people get away with this. And I don't think the woman who ran the prisons in Washington, D.C. should be allowed to have gotten away with the shit she got away with. Prisoners being held into to cells that were so small, there was basically a mat on the floor and toilet, and they were like 4 feet wide. Did you see this?
Solitary confinement for
and not
extended long time.
This whole thing. These people need to pay the price for this, and I know we've got bigger fish to fry here, but boy, pick some randoms and start going after them. Like in Colorado, the people that are doing this when I say randoms, you've got a bunch to choose from. But pick Colorado and start going through that and down the line and seeing who's done what, who said what, and why everything has been denied, especially since she's been attacked and threatened on multiple occasions, considering she's a Gold Star mom, considering she's elderly, and considering she's a cancer survivor.
Yeah, so there should have to, when it comes up that she's been denied for 6 times, if there is not a documented, valid, airtight reason why 6 different times that she's been denied, there should be, heads should roll.
Well, when it's to Jared Polis, when it comes to him, I'm sure there's been lots of things that were airtight. That's just, I'm just saying.
But anyway. You know what I mean? If they can't provide the justification for why they did not grant it, then it was withheld without cause.
100%. And then heads need to roll on who blocked this and who is, I don't know if they're ever going to find this, but they need to do an investigation. They could, if they use the right pressure and leverage, find who is sicking these prisoners on her, because that's what's happening. Blue collar logic one more time, right? So what's the next story you get into?
Well, this is one we talked about a little bit already. We pretty much covered it, but it was Lurch here.
Boasberg
and Kristi Noem. There was days after Homeland Security, and again, this is from CNN, so it's obviously written in a certain way. Days after Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem provided little information about her actions in a high-stakes deportation case, federal judge on Monday expanded his criminal contempt probe into the matter, ordering a top Justice Department attorney to testify under oath about the episode.
Hey, Stu, I'm going to stop you for 1 second. Remind me after this, remind me CNN and the Obamas and let's get back into this story.
I'll try. I'm getting old. But yeah, so this Boasberg, apparently, this was put on hold for a while, and has been allowed to start back up, and now he's raring to go because his feelings were hurt, and he just thinks he wasn't given the due respect to his opinion that it should have been. But
well, how does he keep getting these cases? Because he got the Eric Swalwell real estate scam cases as well.
He has gotten almost every. He's gotten like he's running 90% with a court case that has to do with Trump. It seems like he catches it. It's supposed to be random.
Can't the DOJ invest? This guy is sticking his neck out on the line for a reason. Okay, and it can't just be his ideology, right? So can't they do an investigation and figure out what the other side has on him? You know what I mean?
I don't know, but he is definitely getting neck deep in everything he can that has Trump's name on it. I mean, everything.
Yeah,
he is touching it.
Yeah,
not in a good way.
And why? The bigger question is, why haven't the Republicans in the Senate dealt with this? Why haven't they dealt with it?
Well, because it requires the same thing for impeachment, and it wouldn't go anywhere.
But you could make this guy's life a living hell and then put the spotlight on him even more.
That is true.
Okay, even if they can't get the Democrats to come over, right? You put the spotlight on this guy, and now you're highlighting it even more, and then more of them start popping up, and you start doing the same thing. The average normie doesn't realize what's going on here, right? Yeah. But now they start seeing, I've seen this guy before. What the hell? He's doing what? You know what I mean?
Then you would bring more attention to it for sure.
Correct.
So what were you saying? CNN and Obama's. Talk to me about it.
I heard, this is just hearsay and talk, okay? The Warner Brothers and Netflix are merging, okay? Yep. The Obamas have this exclusive contract with Netflix that will also be honored by Warner Brothers, right?
Warner Brothers contract for what?
To produce those movies, those stupid movies that they made that they were pushing. They're all based off of political propaganda. What the world ends tomorrow, and they have famous actors and shit. Those are the production company is Barack and Michelle Obama.
Oh, that One Day After Another, that was them.
Yeah.
That movie looked like straight hot garbage.
Yeah, it's all propaganda. Entertainment. Yeah. When you look at the psychology of this, entertainment is the most effective. Just think about all of the hot women in high heels that are beating the shit out of 220-pound bodyguard men, right? Yeah. That doesn't exist in real life in any way, shape, or form. But people think, oh yeah, that could happen. So then you get that idea. Oh, women can be Navy SEALs or Green Berets or Rangers. That's where you get that. And then they lower the standards and eliminate the standard. But anyways, the Obamas are making these propaganda pieces. Now, the Obamas have their hands in a lot of stuff, especially when you go back and you see this whole, starting with conspiracy, but with Brennan, with Comey, with Clapper, with the whole crew, Biden, they were all together planning on how they were going to try to take down and destroy Trump's first presidency before he even took office. And that's why Comey was leaking this, right? And the fake dossier and all of that bullshit. How many laws have already been committed? I mean, broken, with just that. The conspiracy, the fake dossiers, the leaking classified information, all of this, right? Leaking knowingly false information to media outlets that know that it's false and are going to run it like it's true anyways, right? So anyways.
Well, they wind up with their circular method where they'll leak it to the media report on it, and then they'll use the media reporting on what they leaked to them as evidence that it's happening.
Well, so then you see that in this production company, the same old cast of characters like Valerie Jarrett are all involved in this, allegedly, right? And so this is just the tip of the iceberg. Not to mention, the Obamas were, you talk about being neck deep in things, this last administration, right? They were neck deep, and all of these charges being brought up against Trump. right? Okay. So that's an assumption that common people would accept. And it's alleged, right? But common people would accept. So they are very, very concerned, right, about this DOJ coming after them for the crimes they've committed. Not to mention the chef, that thing not being investigated and all the questions surrounding that, right? And many, many other things, right? Questioning a bunch of things, okay? So the rumor is that they're going to use, because, Warner Brothers, they bought CNN Discovery, right? They're creating this huge, huge conglomerate, which the Obamas have a very pivotal role within, and they'll have a big voice to be able to broadcast their propaganda through entertainment, right? Yep. And other things too, because CNN's part of all of this, right? So the rumor is, they think that in order to get the heat off of them on everything, including allegedly Epstein Island stuff, right? In order to get the heat off of them, they're going to prep, this is a rumor, Michelle Obama to run in 2028, thinking that you can't go after a political candidate, right? Not to mention they went after Trump for exactly that, although the shit against Trump was made up, right?
Yeah.
They think that this is going to shield them. So the rumor is she's going to run in 2028, and they're going to use the full weight and power of this media conglomerate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So just keep your eyes peeled. This is all hearsay. It's all alleged. Just like keep your eyes peeled for false flags, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if this does have some elements of truth to it.
Freedom said Paramount launched a hostile bid for Warner Brothers yesterday, trying to outmaneuver Netflix.
And Paramount has ABC, right? They own ABC now.
I think so.
I would be real concerned with all of these major media conglomerates, which are not friendly, and entertainment conglomerates, right? Having this much control. I think these organizations need to be broken up, to be honest with you. But you look at what a disgrace entertainment is and media coverage is, right? Mainstream media.
There's nothing in media that is anything but just
straight up propaganda.
It's straight up propaganda, and I'm trying to think of the right word. The word eludes me at the moment, but it's just degenerate. There's nothing redeeming about mainstream media. Everything is degeneracy. That's it.
So that's I just wanted to bring that up because that was prescient to what's going on the last few days.
Because I mean, how many movies can you just there's nothing out there that shows the reward of hard work, or everything's always, well, you're overcoming adversity because something was taken from you. The patriarchy knocked you down, and you're coming back because you're strong and powerful. It's just it's all degenerate, and it's beyond disgusting.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Troy, help me find the word. The word is crap.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, entertainment should be just that, entertainment. It's not. This is why nobody's going to watch movies. This is why you're seeing all of these institutions being purchased, right? And you're getting propaganda. Now, what's his name? Is it Larry Ellison? The guy who founded Oracle. What's his name?
Oh, I can't remember. I know you're talking about, but I can't remember his name.
We talked about this before, but Trump is pressing him to go back to these successful chains that started way back in the 90s, like Rush Hour. He wants him to do the Rush Hour 4, right? And what's
Larry Ellison.
Larry Ellison, yeah. What's really interesting is what's the dude who's in Rush Hour? Can you understand? What's his name?
Jackie Chan or Chris Rock.
Chris Tucker. Yeah. So Chris Tucker was offered. Didn't he do a movie with Ice Cube? He's like, Bye Felicia. That movie. It was called like.
I think
what was that called? They wanted to do a repeat of that. He won't do it because he's now a devout Christian, and he's like, I don't want to be pushing the whole marijuana drug lifestyle and shit again.
Right.
He's like, I don't want to do that. And that's kind of cool, that some of these guys are now becoming open that, hey, I'm a Christian and I'm not doing it. Sorry.
Yep.
He turned down $12 million to do it. It was between $9 and $12 million.
What was that? Was that Friday?
Yes. Yeah. That's what it is. It was like next Friday, I think, is what they were going to do.
No, there's already a next Friday. There's already two of them, I think.
Okay. It was and then it's the third one.
Friday after next.
Something like that. It might be that, right? I haven't seen any of them. So, but Rush Hour 4 would be badass. And apparently Larry Ellison owns the rights to all of this now. I don't know what he purchased, right? I don't know what studio he purchased, but he owns this. So, boy, I hope they start making movies that are fun again, that don't have political ramifications in any of it.
Well, Hollywood's kind of done it to themselves. Is there aren't any small, fun movies anymore. Everything has to be a $500 million blockbuster. But I wouldn't mind going and seeing small, fun movies if it wasn't $50, $60 for two people to go to the theater. If it were the $12, the $8 tickets and the $5 Coke and popcorn. Okay, we'll go see some little garbage, throwaway comedy or whatever. But I'm not going to go spend $60 go see Rush Hour 6 when I can just wait, 3 weeks and stream it. So theaters are dying.
I think the theater thing is going way slowly. Kind of sad that that's the case. I think it is. I think most of it's going to be streaming. So the movie will be available one day. You'll be able to purchase it. And I think that's where this is all going anyways. But I just want them to start making decent movies again. I mean, I think everybody enjoyed movies from, yesteryear that you weren't having political bullshit rammed down your throat. And I'd like to get back to that.
It'd be nice to be able to go and watch a movie that is, making fun of itself, that is humorous, that is a good time without having some, message blared out in the subtext.
Yeah.
But no, getting on to the next story here. This is the one I was telling you guys about, where ICE has launched a website, and they launched this worst of the worst website. And this is the website here. You can enter search terms, you can enter the country of origin, you can enter the state, and you can search, it'll bring up. But just the first page here, second degree murder, felon in possession of a firearm, cruelty toward a child, stalking, rape of a minor, aggravated assault, assault, burglary, assault DUI, domestic violence, concealed weapon, drug possession.
Well, first of all, why aren't we asking ourselves this, Stu? When an illegal alien breaks into our country and they get caught breaking the law, how are they released back into our country? How does this even happen? That's criminal right there. Absolutely criminal.
But that's just one page out of 820 pages of these on here. But
and considering we have 30 to 40 million of these people in our country, 30 to 40 million of these people we really don't know shit about, right?
There's no documentation. They're literally here illegally, undocumented. It's right there in the name.
They showed that the countries that people are from that get the most welfare. The first was Afghanistan. The second was Somalia. The third was some other third world shithole. And then the fourth was Haiti. This is where all our welfare money is going to. Work hard to subsidize people that shouldn't be here from the third world.
Yeah, work hard because somebody from the third world's counting on you.
Yeah, homelessness and everything else. Oh boy, you might be running into trouble at this stage.
Yeah, you're starting to get choppy a little bit. Let's go ahead and Matt, while you still got good connection, let's jump over to the fraud out of Minnesota that you were wanting to talk about.
Oh, this just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Of course, it's 99% in the Somali community, right? And now you're starting to see what's really funny. If you're watching media up here, if you're in Minnesota and you're seeing media, it is a 100% push to try to cover. And you've got, of course, those middle-aged white females that are in the suburbs. Oh, they're interviewing a guy who's probably on one of those worst of the worst that ICE just picked up. Oh, Abdi is the greatest guy in the world. We met in 2016 at a drug rehab facility, and we've just been best friends ever since. And he's just the nicest guy. And you see everything he's been involved with, right? Yeah. This is what they are doing. Okay. So they're talking. Do not be fooled. Okay. The numbers you are hearing are low. Okay. So we're hearing it's 8 billion. It's most likely, allegedly, way more than that. Okay.
Probably double that. If they're telling you that, probably double.
After year. Yes. And now you're starting to see how this all worked. Okay. So the establishment elite that runs the state, which are the Democrat elites, from Walz to Ellison to Ilhan Omar to Ilhan Omar we were talking about this before, the restaurant that's in the middle of all of the Feeding Our Future scams is the one that was helping her out as she initially ran, right? And apparently she had some hands, allegedly, in the drafting of the legislation that opened up all of this for them to steal.
It was her bill. Right? It was her proposal.
Yeah. So they're neck deep in this. And what they were doing was basically taking your money, your hard-earned taxpayer money in Minnesota. They were doing everything they could to import more third worlders that they could put on welfare, right? And then allow them to steal more of your money. This is why they didn't go after it. Anybody saying, hey, we need to look into this, they were punished that worked for the government. That's why all of these workers are coming out and saying, hey, they're up to like 400 and some workers now, right? If they wanted to look into this and investigate it, they were punished. So you got to go after, if you're the federal government, you've got to go after all of these shitbags. You got to go after all of them. I'm talking about the people who facilitated this in the state government, right? All the way down to the people facilitating the crime, right? All of this was a big payoff. Keep us in power. You know, do you think they were looking into illegal voting practices in the Somali community? Hell no. They got them on video camera running around with these mail-in ballots, collecting them and then filling them out. You know, they have that on video. So, I mean, that was rampant years ago, right? And now you're starting to see Ilhan Omar, and we already knew this because this had already come out, but that not on a nationwide level. Her brother wasn't used to get her in this country. The brother was in England. She divorced her husband, married the brother to get him into the country and then get him to go to school. I think he went to the University of North Dakota or University of South Dakota, one of those. Gets him an education, divorces him. I think he goes back to England, and then she remarries her husband, right? Yeah. And that was your taxpayer dollars. So kids here that are voting for this frickin' party are going into $100,000 debt for college, where they can't get a job or a job that pays off that debt. Yet these Somalis come here and they get it all free, right? How do you feel about that?
Here's some numbers on this one here that Matt was talking about. This was the one we talked about last week was the meals where they were basically saying that they were providing 5,000 plus meals a day, and there was really no meals whatsoever being provided.
That was one restaurant, and there were multiple restaurants doing this.
Well, this one's even worse. It involves the medical care community and autism. What they started,
every Somali kid had autism all of a sudden. Every single one of them. Right.
Well, what they've started is they started these autism therapy centers that build the states hundreds of millions of dollars. So they have these centers that enrolled in the state's early intensive development and behavioral intervention. Now, this program reimburses $50,000 to $100,000 per child per year for autism treatment. Okay, so in 2023, spending surged from $3 million pre-COVID to $399 million. So in what, 3 to 4 years, it went from $3 million to almost $400 million.
This is on top of defeating. This is on top of feeding our future. This is on top of the child care fraud that they've been stealing hundreds of millions of dollars for over 10 years, right? This is on top of all of this. That one restaurant, Safari, $38 million allegedly that dude got, and he was spending $9,000 a month at Nordstrom's. He was buying luxury homes here and overseas, driving luxury cars, right? Yeah.
But the thing, like right here, here's one of these, the most extreme example. Smart Therapy LLC pulled in $14 million between 2019 and 2024. And they've done research into a lot of these. All they are is a P.O. box. There's no office. There's no building. There's no way in hell they could do and provide any therapy whatsoever. Now, right here, how the scheme worked: cash kickbacks to parents, fake autism evaluation, copy-paste treatment plans, untrained therapist, 40 hours of billing per week, whether therapy occurred or not.
Hawala transfers. That's the Muslim. Hawala transfers are how Muslims transfer money across the world. It's not through a traditional banking network. It's called a Hawala network. And this is how terrorism is funded throughout the world. Okay.
And that's where they think a lot of this money went, was to the terrorist network in Somalia.
So this deal right here. Okay, see, by 2025, DHS had banned 77 programs for credible fraud. Okay, this program right here is almost identical to the child care fraud scam that they've been pulling for years. Almost identical. They were sharing kids, bringing kids in. The kickbacks to the parents are, bring your kids in and we'll give you $300 to $1,500 per child, right? So they would borrow each other's kids, bring them in, and then acting like they were being taken care of because the parents were going to work. They don't work. Then they were going, then they were taking the kids back home, and this kept on going on and on and on and on. This is where all of your taxpayer money was going. Tell me what the Somali community does for the state of Minnesota or the United States of America. It takes, it destroys. That's what it does.
We've got this story here.
They were brought here for. They were brought here to be people bombs and destroy our country. And this is how they're doing it across the country. This same shit is going on in Maine right now. It just doesn't have the, because that's another huge Somali population. And Tennessee's got a huge Somali population as well, right? So all of this shit, I guarantee you start digging into it, you're going to find it. Now, Tennessee's a conservative state. They may have the leadership of the state at the state level probably wouldn't be involved with any of this bullshit. But don't look past the local level, because, you know, while Nashville is the in city and people think it's conservative, it's not. Nashville is run by the left, right? As are most major cities in this country. So
one of the things here that drove how the scheme worked are these fake autism evaluations. Now, it just so happens, oh, look, here's a story. Research finds 1 in 16 Somali children diagnosed with autism, 3 times more than the state average. This is October 10th, 2024. So this is a year before they really start driving this. And when
I guarantee you, a year later, it was going to be like 1 in 5. Are you going to tell me this next?
Yeah. So the data comes from a 2023 CDC autism survey and help from 2 University of Minnesota researchers who are tracking the rise in overall diagnosis over the years. For another perspective on this data, Dr. I'm not even going to try, joined the program.
The Quifra.
Yeah. She's the executive director of special education with Minneapolis Public Schools. I just went and looked to see who she was.
Education. Director of Education. Yeah.
This is Dr. DeQuifa.
They need to do a deep dive into her education and what her capabilities are. I guarantee you, next to nothing, right? So,
but
yeah, Dr. DeQuifa.
This is what happens again. The scale was hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's
on top of all of them.
Yeah. This is just one of them, and like right here it is. If the Feeding Our Future scandal, 250 million is how much that was. And what was this one here? $1 billion. Federal losses linked to this network may now exceed $1 billion across different social programs. And like Matt said, that is our money that's being taken by people that honestly
and here's
should
why
not be here.
Here's why all of us need to worry, because a lot of this is federal funds. So even if you don't work in the state, they're stealing everybody's money in the state of Minnesota, but now they're stealing all of our money because those were federal funds jammed in.
Yeah.
So for exactly this.
$1 billion across that. That is insanity.
And what's the purpose of all of this? To keep Democrats in power. This is why they want to open our borders up. This is why they wanted to flood our country with third world immigrants. Every year, in return, they're going to vote Democrat and keep Democrats in power. This is what this is all about. The whole scam from what's going on in Minnesota is that the whole jig is up because this is exactly what they were doing with opening the southern border and flooding our country with up to 40 million illegal aliens from the third world who bring nothing to this country. I've seen reports where the average Somali costs the state or the American taxpayer $1 million per for over their lifetime. $1 million per. That's a drain.
I would say that's on the low end.
It probably is on the low end. But this is how we're $38 trillion in debt. So we're going to collapse our country to bring in these people who hate us, who will never assimilate to us, and then listen to the lectures on mainstream media on how much they bring to the American way of life. Yeah.
Well, Matt, you know when they talk about how much money they bring in and how great they are for the economy? It's because of this shit right here. This is how they're so freaking brain dead that they're like, oh well, they're running all of these networks and these autism therapy. Look what good they're doing for the community. Yeah, they're taking up to $1 billion of your federal funds through scams. That's what they're doing.
Like I said, I don't want to say that every Somali is this way. Okay, we're not saying that. And I'm sure that there's some Somalis out there that really did come here and want to be American. I don't want to get them, but the vast majority of that community does not like America. They want to change America. They want Sharia law. They want to turn America into Somalia. And if they're over here to try to rebuild their country by sending remittances back and funding Al-Shabaab and all of this bullshit. So there's some really interesting things about who Ilhan Omar's father was, because the way the media have presented it, like he was a teacher. Then there's some people out there saying, no, he was a colonel in this, before the Civil War. This is why they had to get out, right? Who was responsible for the organization was responsible for these death squads that was going on over there. This whole part of the world, we should have never had our fingers in the first place. Black Hawk Down should have never happened, right? We should have let them deal with their bullshit just to make sure, you know what? They can't keep their own shit together over there. We're going to keep them out of our country. Now, when the United States is a good country at heart, obviously, and when you see things going on like Christians right now down in
Nigeria,
and the Christians in South Sudan, okay, is there an argument to go and help them? Yeah, because the whole Muslim world is up against them, and they're being targeted. right? But I guarantee you, if you brought the Christian community over here, they would be crying racism and everything else. If you brought the Christian community over here, guess what? They would meld into our society. They would assimilate. They would go get jobs. They wouldn't be defrauding our welfare systems. They wouldn't be on welfare, right? That's what you would get.
Well, that's what they were saying, Matt, with the Afrikaners they were bringing in that they were killing in South Africa. Oh, they're only bringing them over here because they're white. It's like, have you looked around at the other 98%
murdered and raped on their own farms? Yeah, this is insane. It's absolutely insane. So hey, I don't want to label everybody, and I say that every time because we're not. Well, it sounds, but you've got to get anybody who is involved in defrauding this country. First of all, none of them should be on welfare. First of all, okay, anybody who's involved in defrauding our country or involved in any type of fraud whatsoever, I don't give a shit if they've got their green card, if they've been natural. I don't care. They need to go back. We need them out of the country. The ones that haven't done anything wrong and they want to be Americans and they're here, more power to them, right?
Yeah.
But not the criminals. They got to go. So
if you get caught wrapped up in one of these scams, you get sent right back home with a black mark on your permanent record. You don't get back.
You can never come back. Correct.
But we've got Freedom. Freedom is saying all of the kids are being brainwashed. Students at Burnsville High School in Minnesota staged a walkout today chanting "No more ICE." Surprisingly, 37% of Burnsville students read proficiently at grade level. And
Burnsville is one of these suburbs that has been destroyed. It used to be a nice suburb. It's destroyed. It's got a huge Somali population, by the way.
JG's on. He was saying that the Somali scam artist funded the terrorists, and that was what Matt was saying. That's where the money's getting back to. Freedom also said this past week, Kristi Noem claimed that half the visas in Minnesota are fraudulent.
They need to go. Get them out of there. No questions asked. Get them through the process and get them back home. Period. We need them out.
No, JG, I'm trying to remember if I had seen this before.
I heard that too. The fraudulent visas. The fraudulent visas.
JG said that Ilhan Omar's father was connected to slave trade.
Yes.
I had not heard that. I'm trying to remember if I'd heard that before.
He was a colonel. And you know how they had the big civil war? This is why we were over there in the first place, and the warlords and everything else. He was on, I believe, I don't know enough about it, so I really shouldn't be talking about it, but he was on the losing side. Okay. And this is how she got here. Right. But then the media here will tell you he was a teacher. Right. Yeah. So it's all convoluted.
Troy says our show needs a blood pressure warning. Sorry about that, Troy.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And because it makes me so upset at seeing the intentional destruction of our country and standing back and letting him get away with it. These people, Walls and everybody else, investigate them, due process, everything else. But you need to start going after these people. They need, if they were involved in this, what looks pretty obvious that they need their due process rights and everything else, then they need to go to frickin' jail, period.
Well,
all of them.
Because here's the way I understand that meals program. It was Ilhan Omar's bill for that program. It is the fraud and everything is in her community with the people of her ethnicity. At one of the main ones involved in it is the store or the restaurant and the restaurant owner that helped her when she got started. During the program, she was out there shilling for it, talking up how well it was. So you're telling me that your friend that you spend time with and all, you don't realize that his restaurant that he's operating, all of a sudden he's buying multi-million-dollar houses and all. It's like it doesn't pass the sniff test. It's like
how is she worth allegedly $30 million? That doesn't pass the sniff test. How is she worth that kind of money? That doesn't pass the sniff test. And the same goes for Marjorie Taylor Greene, worth apparently $18 million is what she made while she was in Congress. Okay,
well, they were wealthy before that, though.
She had a construction company and then she was divorced. But they said the time that she entered Congress, she was worth like $5 million or something like that, right? From the time she entered Congress and now has left Congress, okay, she's worth $18 million more, okay?
Hey, that insider trading will take and make you some money in a hurry.
It's a freaking crime. And we need to find out how they're actually making money. It can't all be insider trading. So
Freedom brought up something. Keith Ellison, the Minnesota AG, is also majorly involved. And there was I saw an interview with him, and somebody asked him, they were like, in light of all of this fraud that's come up, would you have done anything differently? He's no, it's not our fault.
First Muslim member of Congress, too, by the way, who took his oath on the Quran, right?
Yeah.
Keith Ellison he's one of these Nation of Islam dudes, right? He's not Somali. He had a normal name like Joe Smith or something. I don't know what it was prior to becoming a Nation of Islam dude. But you see this all going down. And we're past, I think the American people have gotten to the point where they've had enough. Okay, you're going to have the shills, especially in Minnesota. You even have some of that here in Wisconsin, down around Madison and Milwaukee. But you're going to have the shills there that are going to, they don't care. They're voting for their own demise. These people aren't stupid, but the way they vote makes them look really stupid. Okay, and I think a lot of it has to do with pride. A lot of it could be being brainwashed. A lot of it could be a bunch of things. But Donald Trump is the real enemy. These people have stolen. They have stolen all of their taxpayer money. The people they put into office put the programs in place for them to steal that. That's what it looks like, right? Yeah. And if it looks like a duck, it's, quacks like a duck. What is it, right?
Might be a duck.
Yeah. So they need to be punished. The people involved, if half of the visas are fraudulent, they go. I'm sorry. Well, what about the kids and everything that they have here? Well, they're free to go with them, right? Yeah. They're free to go with them, right? So it's not. They even made the flag in the state. I say this every time. Look at the Somali flag and look at the Minnesota flag. This is what they did.
We brought it up once or twice on the show with side-by-side comparisons, and it's
absolutely insane. It is absolutely insane, and this is just a microcosm of what's going on in all of these liberal states across the country. It's happening in Maine. We know it's happening in Oregon. We know it's happening in Washington State. We sure know it's happening in California. It's happening in Illinois. It's happening in all of these states. You were being replaced, and they were using your money to buy their votes. This is what it was.
They're doing it in a lot of the blue states because they know that no one there is going to speak up against it.
Correct.
Out of fear of being labeled a racist, a phobe of some sort. So they'll just sit there and keep their head down and keep their mouth shut until their state is gone. And that's what's going to happen.
The midterms are going to be so important.
Absolutely.
We have got to encourage everybody and go out and vote like it's the presidential election. The midterms are going to be, if the Democrats are able to steal the midterms, okay, all of this stops. We win the midterms, this all gets accelerated. We get these people out of our country. We get our country back. We get our economy thumping. We get oil production even up. Gas is dropping, but it's going to drop even more.
Yeah.
Right. And
I think gas is the lowest it's been in like 4 years or something right now.
Yeah. Interest rates are coming down. Right. That's what's going to happen. And we might get rid of the Fed or take a big chunk of stepping towards that direction, getting rid of our taxes. Right. Yeah. The federal taxes. If we can do this all with tariffs and maybe some sort of a consumption tax, right? Our country will work. It'll work again. And we stay out of all of this bullshit that doesn't affect us, right? You help people that need help, okay? But there's a limit. And if somebody comes here, they come here to become an American. That's period. And they don't go on welfare. They don't go on welfare. We can help them to assimilate, but their job is to learn our language, our culture, not to change our language and culture. They can still keep remnants of where they came from, but they better assimilate, become Americans, and they better start contributing to our society.
Even if they do, okay, when you come over here, you can receive assistance for 6 months or for a year or whatever, and that's it.
Yeah.
You're on your own after that. If you can't make it, if you don't come here with a plan, with a marketable skill, with a talent, with something that you can provide for yourself, it's not our responsibility to provide for you. You have a home you can return to, and the job you left, the home you left, the neighborhood you left, whatever, and good luck to you.
And when you do go on assistance, it's not McDonald's, it's not cigarettes, it's not alcohol, it's not getting your nails did, it's not Mountain Dew, it's a steady diet of government cheese and proper farm-grown products, eggs, milk, cheese, these types of things.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going and getting Taco Bell. You're not getting all this bullshit. And you're not going to take your little card that looks like everybody else's credit card, swiping it and getting cash and buying cartons of cigarettes with it. That ain't going to happen anymore. And this judge, by the way, I wanted to mention her before. This judge who looks like she's 15 years old, who overturned the conviction of these Somali fraudsters, and they got to keep it was between 7 and 14 million, something around there. He had Porsches, mansions,
I couldn't believe that.
Property. Yeah, she overturns it. Investigate her, and if need be, due process and the whole 9 yards. But maybe she needs to go to jail.
Again, a jury trial. The jury found them guilty. She sets it aside and says, "No, go ahead.
Yeah.
You're good."
No, you guys did not give the verdict that was expected of you. So
you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So I've got to step in now.
Yeah, and that shows how corrupt it is in Minnesota. That nobody's even looking at her. She should be investigated the moment that gavel came down. Bam. Right? Yep. So, yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
Do we have comments that we didn't cover?
I read through them. JG says Tim Waltz has no spine. And Troy said, we're an advanced country, but Tim Waltz is retarded.
Yeah. Tim, that's another thing I did want to mention tonight. This dumbass goes on TV bitching about people driving by his house and how reprehensible it was after all the name calling he's done, right? That Donald Trump would use the R word, and then he'd go by, and you know what? Here's how dumb this guy is. How do you ensure that more people are going to go by and call you what you are, right?
Well, Matt, when you were in the military and you were trying to figure out what nickname a guy was going to get, what nickname was the one that stuck?
Oh, the one that bothered him the most, right?
Absolutely. So the one he absolutely hated.
Cabin, right? So yeah, that's what happens. And so I think that's our show tonight. I'm so happy that this thing held together. I didn't think it
did
was.
Good. There were only a couple of times it got a little sketch, but it held up well.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank every one of you guys. First things first, for being a patriot. We got to win the midterms. I don't want to sound like a broken record. That's our goal. That is our 25-meter target. Okay. So we got to win the midterms. But thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking part. Okay. Thank you for educating others and living freedom every day. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.
Thanks, everyone. See you Tuesday.